Hello and welcome to the Final Wraps YouTube channel. Within here hopefully we're going to provide you with some helpful tips and a bit of advice on how to apply the graphics that you've probably bought from us already. I'm assuming that's why you're here. So what I'd like to do is make a start and show you exactly the way forward. Here's a rundown of the things you're going to need. Hopefully you've already got your print there and you're happy with that. Second thing you're going to need is some sort of cleaning material for the front of the fridge. The door has to be spotlessly clean to make the decal apply correctly. I tend to use methylated spirits, but you can use any sort of household cleaning product. Just as long as it's one of the kind that don't leave those sort of dusty sheens onto the actual door when you've finished. Obviously a bit of white roll there, just a kitchen roll, just to give it a clean down afterwards. You'll then need some sort of spreader or an applicator. A credit card will do, or a store card if you haven't got one of these lying around, and then something sharp like a knife, because you are going to have to trim this print down when you've finished applying it. But we'll come on to that in a second. Firstly, let's get this door cleaned, and that's the start we're going to make. Right, okay, let's start by getting this door clean. Obviously, whatever you're using, just on a bit of white cloth there. And just start the cleaning process down. Pay particular notice to any sort of creases, make sure there's no dirt and grime left in there. And then just continue until you've got most of the dirt off the door. Right, okay, so we've got the door as clean as we can. Those marks are just general wear and tear that have probably been there for a few years now. But don't worry about them. The next step is to take the print and get the print in some sort of situation where it's going to live for the rest of its life. To do this, you're going to take a bit of masking tape and just peg it at the top of each side of the actual print. Then we'll put the print somewhere like where it's probably going to land, where it's going to stay. Just making sure that you've got enough on the sides to ensure that the door's covered at both edges. Now what I've done is, obviously the prints are a little bit longer, so this is why you will need to trim them off. But once the print's in place and you're happy with that and you're good to go, you're happy where it's situated, you then need to do something called hinging it. This is simple enough. All you need to do is take some masking tape and create a hinge across the top of the print. So you stick half onto the print and half onto the bit of the door that you can see there. Don't take it right to the edges, because those bits have got to be left free because they're going to need to bend around. Once it's in place, that's it, it's going nowhere. Right, that's kind of where we need to end up at. The next stage is really simple. All you're going to do is lift the print up, and from the top we're going to peel off this backing paper. But once you start to release the print from the backing paper, you can then start the application. Let it fall down, but keeping hold of the backing paper at the same time. Take your spreader, and you can start to apply it. Nice, simple, even strokes, going left to right. Now what you need to do is generally work your way down. Again, left to right strokes as you go along it. So, pulling the backing paper off at the same time so you're not exposing too much of the back of the print. Keep your spreader or your card or whatever you're using it at quite a shallow angle. It does help with the application. As you can see, I'm just pulling the backing paper down as I'm going along. I'm coming to the bottom, so what's going to happen now is the backing paper, we'll just pull it all the way off. That's that done with. Don't worry about the bottom, we'll come to the trim later on. Edges. Get your spreader or whatever else you're using there and just make sure you get it right the way up to the edge. This is where you might need a knife. Just trim the corner just a little bit, just a little nick there, because we're going to go around that corner. I need the vinyl to be free. Then, using your hand, using the spreader, whatever you're comfortable with, just push it into place. That's all you need to do. Don't worry about any overlaps. As I say, we are going to trim them off when we come to finish the fridge. Okay, so once you've got the vinyl in place, pretty much you're safe now, it won't move. What you need to do now is start trimming the application off. So we need to remove this masking tape. Now, if you've gone up to the edge of where the fridge is there, if you use your applicator to just push the print into that crease. Now this is where you're going to need a sharp knife. but it must be sharp because you're going to cut through it now. You start at the front. Now what I tend to do is I'll use the spreader just to stop me going into the print. And then literally just run the knife along the crease nice and gently. Now when you come to the edges, I've already cut that bit there, so you then just literally peel that off. So now take the spreaders and just push down any excess that might be not quite adhered to the actual panel. So now I'm going to do the sides again with that little bit. Just trim it down. And this side, there you go. And same again for the bottom. So again, take your spreader, get it into the creases, and then cut it off. Don't worry if you pull a bit of the vinyl off with things like that. And trim. Obviously then just use your spreader, whatever else you're using, just to make sure that it's got stuck down right into those corners. And then down the edge of the doors, because you should have an overlap on the print because we're quite generous with the sizing of these things. So the thing to do is just start with a little nick at the top and just run your knife down the side. And again on this side. And there you go. One fridge completely wrapped. Tip of the day, if you do happen to get any bubbles in the print, quite simply, get something sharp and pointy, like that. Just nick the print a little bit and push it out with your finger.